Casino Fishing Masterclass, where today I'm going to be running you through pace fishing down the edge. You join me at the forever wonderful Coppice pools, and we're on their newish lake. Absolutely stunning. Rig choice. I've got the Dot'em down, Power Edge 0.4 water float. These are for pace fishing down the edge. Anything up to like 2-3 feet, this float is unbelievable. Solid as a rock, never going to break it. Thick bristle, perfect. And all I've done is I've painted black because we're in white water down the edge. I've got 4 number 9 shot under the float, and I've got 4 number 9 shot halfway between my hook and my float. My hook is, the hook I'm using is a series 861, that's a Tubertini eyed hook, just strong as an ox, amazing hook. So I've got a lot of confidence in them, so that's what I use. Elastic choice. The elastic is the blue Phil Reynolds range. You don't come no better than that for edge fishing, let me tell you. And that's about it really. Depth wise, we've got just over 1.5 feet in depth, which it's warm, so there will come that extra bit into the margins. So mixing paste. Paste I use is Swim Stim green. Absolutely, well, it's just brilliant. I've used it for years and years, never failed me, never let me down. So this is what I always turn to when pace fishing. The mixing process, it's as simple as it gets really. What you're going to do is you're going to get some water, and you're going to fill a tub, like your 3 and 4 point tubs, about halfway, and then what we're going to do is just pour it in, and we're just going to stir so it's really, really wet. Give it a good mix round. That's really like water, but don't forget it's going to take a bit of time to really suck that water in. Put a bit more in. Now, once I've got the consistency of a nice thick creamy soup, then that's what I'm looking for. And then I know that is going to take on the rest of that water and become perfect paste. That at the minute is a little bit too wet still. However, it's not far off in my opinion. And the wetter your paste that you can use, obviously, because obviously the wetter it is, the harder it gets to use. But the wetter you can use it, the more fish you will catch. So that is your bait preparation done. It doesn't get any easier than that, and you can catch, like I said, that is what, half a bag. That'll last you, a bag's going to last you a full day session no matter what you do. And believe me, just that one bag alone, when you're fishing paste, you can have a real big weight on this just on one bag of ground bait. So kicking off the swim in a match situation, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be potting in a lot of bait. That's the last thing I want. The last thing I want is a load of fish there. So what I'm going to do, literally, I'm just going to get a ball of paste, 1 cup. I'm going to put it in my pot. I'm going to ship it out to my mark where I've plumbed up, and I'm going to drop it in. That is all I'm going to do. I should do that probably 15 minutes before I'm going to go on to it. Like I said, I don't want a million fish there. I want 1 or 2 fish so I can catch them without foul looking them. Paste, as we all know, once it goes down to the bottom, it will dissolve and it'll be scattered everywhere anyway. But I don't want too much there, so they're racing here, there and everywhere. For me, that little ball of paste is enough feed to keep fish there until I go on it in 15 minutes. Okay, so putting the paste on the hook. All we're going to do is we're just going to wet our fingers first, get a pinch of paste, put it in your right hand, just give it a roll around, push your hook in like so, fold it over, roll it off because it is really wet, and then put it in our pot. And that is just how we want it. Okay, so shipping the rig out, to save on tangles, what you're going to have to do is keep your pole low to the surface of the water, keep your float in the water at all times till you get to your spot, and that'll stop you getting tangles. I do get asked a lot about why I use normal floats. This is simple, why not? I want a float for me that I'm comfortable with. Most paste floats out there you buy, some of the size of some of these fish, they just don't last. And not just that, but they use a thin float when they're fishing deeper water. And the reason being is a lot of people don't shot the float, so therefore they use the paste to cock the float, and then once the paste dissolves, float comes up, then now the paste is off. However, down the edge, that's not usually the case. The bites down the edge, they're usually just flyers. So therefore, I like to know, I shot my paste float like I would if I was fishing corn, or if I was fishing pellet, or any other bait meat. The only difference I do is I put the shot halfway between the float and the hook. The reason for that is I don't want tails knocking everywhere, dragging it out the bait. But as far as floats go, I like to just use a normal float. I like to shot it normal, maybe sometimes have it, a little bit higher than I normally would, obviously for pellet, corn or meat. But for down the edge, when that float goes under, it's usually a fish. You don't need to be using special paste floats and all that, and sometimes you're only fishing in sort of a foot deep of water, especially in the height of the summer when they're really having it. You've got to come tight to them banks for them smarter fish. Some of these pace floats, they're like 8 inches deep, you know. So I like to be, you know, and that can spook the fish. So I like to just use a nice small float that's shotted well, and that works for me. I like to fish about 2 to 3 inches over depth. So when I know, when that float, a lot of people say, like you say, they use it dead depth. Well, that's good, that's fine sometimes, but if you're fishing down the edge and that bottom is uneven or you've got a slope, it's an absolute nightmare. So that's why I fish 3 inches over depth, and then I know once I put my rig in, it's shotted down, I haven't got to rely on the pace cock in the float, and if it goes under, it's usually a fish anyway. These fish, they have got a little bit funny, so what I'm going to do is put my plummet on, and I've took about 3 inches off, and I'm going to come closer to the bank. So by taking 3 inches off, it sort of gives me about 1.5 foot closer to the bank, which I feel now them bigger fish are backing off up the bank a little bit, and I've just fouled up them 3 fish, and I'm hoping that by going closer in that shallower water, what happens is we're a lot more cautious, so therefore they take the bait with a lot more caution, and therefore results with a hook in the mouth rather than in the tail. I've just come up that shelf a little bit now, so hopefully we'll get a better response and a fish in the mouth. It's definitely that time of year now where pie's playing a massive part in fishing, and pies is responsible for a lot of venue records. I can definitely tell you that much. There's a fish, there's a bite. So, just switching. Obviously, that decision of moving just up that shelf, just by literally a few inches, has resulted in a fish straight away. And you always want to be looking at ways to catch quicker. This is only a small fish, nevertheless a nice fish. Yes, it's not just big fish that live down the edge. Also, Some stunning little carp like that. The other good thing about paste is sometimes when you come down the edge, especially this time of year, there's a lot of scum on the water from the heat. Farmers are doing the fields and whatnot else. You get a lot of scum on the water, and sometimes you do have a lot of trouble with laying corn in, pellet. A big lump of paste just goes straight through it. You know, but not just that. Paste comes into its own in the summer, I believe, because once they've spawned, we all know they switch onto the pellet. They love the pellet. But soon after that, once they've had the fill, they go off, they go a bit iffy. And I'm a big believer that as soon as that happens, by switching to paste, can make a massive difference to your fishing, and especially win you the matches. I do get asked a lot about why I use normal floats. This is simple. Why not? I want a float for me that I'm comfortable with. Most paste floats out there you buy, some of the size of some of these fish, they just don't last. And not just that, but they use a thin float when they're fishing deeper water. And the reason being is a lot of people don't shot the float, so therefore they use the paste to cock the float, and then once the paste is dissolved, float comes up, then now the paste is off. However, down the edge, that's not usually the case. The bites down the edge, they're usually just flyers. So therefore, I like to know, I shot my paste float like I would if I was fishing corn, or if I was fishing pellet, or any other bait meat. The only difference I do is I put the shot halfway between the float and the hook. The reason for that is I don't want tails knocking everywhere, dragging it out the bait. But as far as floats go, I like to just use a normal float. I like to shot it normal. Maybe sometimes have it, you know, a little bit higher than I normally would, obviously for pellet, corn or meat. But for down the edge, when that float goes under, it's usually a fish. You don't need to be using special paste floats and all that, you know. And sometimes you're only fishing in sort of a foot deep of water, especially in the height of the summer when they're really having it. You've got to come tight to them banks for them smarter fish. Some of these paste floats, they're like 8 inches deep, you know. So I like to be, you know, and that can spook the fish. So I like to just use a nice small float that's shotted well, and that works for me. I like to fish about 2 to 3 inches over depth. So when I know, when that float, a lot of people say, like you say, they use it dead depth. Well, that's good, that's fine sometimes, but if you're fishing down the edge and that bottom is uneven, or you've got a slope, it's an absolute nightmare. So that's why I fish 3 inches over depth, and then I know once I put my rig in, it's shotted down, I haven't got to rely on the paste cocking the float, and if it goes under, it's usually a fish anyway. Well, I've had an absolutely fantastic day fishing paste down the edge. Give it a go yourself on your local venue, or on your local matches or whatever. Just keep it simple, don't feed a lot. Just remember that ball of paste you're putting in is feeding your swim as well. So again, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.